Much of semantics deals with reference and how it comes about. But why? What's the big deal with this rose? Well, take this guy. He is sad. He has a wish. He wishes for a rose. Now, suppose genies are real in this world. So here comes the genie. In fact, the genie means so well, and the million roses appear. But the sad guy is still sad. It turns out he doesn't want all these roses. He wants a special rose, a unique rose. But the genie doesn't know which rose. Well, the sad guy wants this rose. So the genie gives him exactly the rose he wanted. And now he's happy. But the genie is confused. What's the big deal about a special rose if he could have all the roses in the world? What's the big deal about this rose? Well, it's unique to our guy. Very unique. Now, an alien observer might wonder, how do we humans get from talking about all the roses that we can possibly find in our world to talking about a particular rose that is special and unique to us? How do we distinguish among all these roses? And how do we do this with our language? It's not that we have names for every individual rose. That's not how we distinguish them. So we don't have names for every individual rose there is, yet we can talk about any particular rose there is if we have something to say about that particular rose. So the alien observer has a good question. It's like we can use the word this like a pointer. It allows us to point to any rose, but then the word this doesn't have an actual finger that points. So, how do we point with words? First thing we need is setting the location. And the easiest way to fix the location once and for all is to simply take the location of the conversation as our starting point. That's the deictic center. Now, this points to things that are in our deictic center, and that points to things that are somewhat away from our deictic center. So it's like this and that serve as our verbal pointers. And just like the things we point to need to be somewhere where we can see them, the same is true for the things we point to with this and that. They have to be visible from our deictic center, either close or far. Now, if you look at the words themselves, this and that, there is a common sound, the, and it combines with is and that. It's like is used to point to here, and at is used to point to there. But that leaves us with the part. So, what is the? Well, if you want to spell it out by itself, you say the, and the doesn't point in the same way as this and that. It doesn't actually need physical pointing. It doesn't point, and it doesn't need a deictic center to be used. The is used to refer to a unique individual. For some things, that's pretty straightforward. There is only one moon, so we can simply refer to it as the moon. But that's a fact about our world. Jupiter has at least 80 moons, so definitely not a unique individual in itself. But things don't have to be unique in the world or on Jupiter to be able to refer to them with the. For example, we know there are millions of roses in this world, yet our guy can ask the genie now, can I have the rose again? And the genie would know which rose he's talking about because they have made the rose unique in their earlier conversation just by virtue of talking about it. This particular rose has become part of the common ground. It's like when people talk to each other, they create a little world in their head, and this world can be populated by the individuals they have already talked about. So, this is what the does. It refers to a unique individual with whatever property the noun it combines with has. The rose, the moon, and the bottle. We didn't even have to talk about the bottle to make it unique. It became unique because it was part of our shared experience. And since it was the only bottle around, it entered into our common ground as a unique individual. So it doesn't matter how uniqueness comes about. It could be unique in the world, or it could be unique in the common ground because we talked about it before, or because it's part of our shared experience. So now we understand how the is used to refer to a unique individual. It creates a specific referent. Even when there are a million roses in this world, we can talk about the one special rose. So what does a rose refer to then? Yeah, what does a do? He, the sad guy, doesn't have to have a particular rose in mind to say this. It could in principle be any rose, just some unspecified, undefined rose. It's like a denotes an individual that has the property of being a rose. Any individual will do, as long as it is a rose. And it looks like the alien observer perfectly understands.